Vanakkam, the South Indian is here. I am going to bring you two stories today. First, from my home state, Tamil Nadu. Certain parts of Tamil Nadu are reeling under the havoc of floods. There is rain fury like never before. But you know what? Whenever there is a natural calamity or even a man-made mishap, politicians do one thing brilliantly: play politics. I'm going to talk about that. And my second story, of course, is the surge of COVID across Kerala, Karnataka, and what the centre is doing to put a lid on a further spread of COVID. Let's start the show. 4 southern districts in Tamil Nadu, Thoothukudi, Tirunelveli, Tenkasi, and Kanyakumari have faced ceaseless rains on 17 December, also the 18th, and also this has been the heaviest spell since 1871. Take out your calculators and calculate the number of years. So, since 1871, this has been the worst spell. Some regions are still raining and it is hard to predict if it's a trickle or a torrent. They are saying that it's dry, most of the area is dry, but like I said, in this context, dry is a relative term. The reason is that the 4 districts have faced such a huge deluge that unless they go totally dry and there are no rain clouds, it's difficult for all of us to sigh relief. On Tuesday, Tamil Nadu Chief Secretary Shivdas Meena confirmed 10 deaths, including 7 in Tirunelveli and 3 in Thoothukudi districts due to the heavy rain which lashed the southern part of the state. The damage to property and infrastructure is so huge that one can still go on, and guess figures that the South Indian will not do. I am going to wait for official figures. Even as the cyclone Michaung had just about receded. According to government data, however, 160 relief centers have been established where more than 17,000 people have sought refuge. 13,500 kgs of food has been supplied to those who have actually lost their homes. 64,900 litres and 30,000 litres of milk have been supplied to Tirunelveli and Thoothukudi respectively. Now, in the midst of all this, politics erupted, and rather unfortunately, I must say, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Govt. Stalin, was visiting New Delhi on Tuesday to attend the India bloc meeting and to also meet with Prime Minister Modi for extra relief for the states in the face of floods, and mention how the state government had taken proper measures for rescue and relief operations and on time despite late warning from the meteorological department which mitigated the extent of the disaster. Listen in to what Stalin had to say.
வானிலை ஆய்வு மையத்தின் எச்சரிக்கை நமக்கு சற்றே தாமதமாக கிடைத்தாலும் அதில் அளித்துள்ள அளவை விட அதிகமாக மழைப்பொழிவு ஏற்பட்ட சூழ்நிலையிலும் தமிழ்நாடு அரசு முன்கூட்டியே பல்வேறு முன்னெச்சரிக்கை நடவடிக்கை எடுத்திருந்தது என்பதை இங்கே நான் சுட்டிக்காட்ட விரும்புகிறேன்.
Once Chief Minister Stalin spoke, the rest obviously have to jump in, right? Minister for Milk and Dairy Development in the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam government, Mano Thangaraj, also joined in the chorus of his boss and criticized the IMD in no uncertain terms and said that delays in weather forecasts had hindered the state government's response to the flood situation. Addressing the issue on X, what was earlier Twitter, Thangaraj wrote a long kind of a note, but I am going to really only read what is very, very pertinent. He said, a significant issue was the time discrepancy in the weather alerts. The gap between the issuance of the red alert and the actual flooding was much shorter than what could have been ideal, as some Western models exhibit in those countries. This critical delay in our forecasting system underscores the need for more immediate and accurate weather alerts. Thangaraj, of course, drew parallels with Western models and lauded their ability to anticipate heavier and more immediate downpours with greater precision. He also emphasized how a delay in precise alerts has the potential to impact the government's response to floods. Meanwhile, even a bureaucrat, and that being Tamil Nadu Chief Secretary Shivdas Meena, called for timely weather updates to reduce the response time for flood. Look, there is no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that southern Tamil Nadu is indeed suffering. In Tirunelveli, The Tamirabarani river has been flooded for the 5th consecutive day due to heavy rains. There is a red alert for Tenkasi, Thoothukudi, Tirunelveli, Kanyakumari. Also, the good news is that water has reportedly receded from several parts of Tirunelveli district, but Thoothukudi, ladies and gentlemen, continues to suffer. A red alert is in place for Virudunagar, Madurai and Theni districts, while an orange alert is operational for Thoothukudi, Dindigal, Kanyakumari, Coimbatore, Tirupur and Sivagangai. Schools and colleges remain shut in Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi, Tenkasi and Kanyakumari. The deluge, intensified by cyclonic circulation, has caused extensive damage, causing disruption to everyday life, and the 4 districts have borne the worst brunt, even as rain refused to cease in some areas and homes were flooded, streets were waterlogged and people were just praying for rains to give them some respite. But guess what? Not just water, even politics refuses to recede over the floods in Tamil Nadu. Governor R.N. Ravi, the man who has had countless slugfests with the Stalin-led DMK government, convened a meeting to take stock of the flood situation in Tenkasi, Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi, Kanyakumari, but it was boycotted by the government as no one came, no one attended. A release from the Raj Bhavan said, and I quote that release for you. It said, no official from the state government attended the meeting, though a request was sent to the Chief Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu, to send a representative. The Tamil Nadu BJP took to X and started a hashtag missing CM, alleging how Stalin was missing even as the state was faced with the deluge. Ex-Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy also criticized Stalin and the DMK government for the shoddy work. I ask you, there is news that little children are dead, pregnant women who took all the risks to be rescued, homes are flooded, railway tracks have disappeared, and all we can do is politics. Let's now debate. First up, I am going to talk about the entire so-called allegation on IMD, and with an expert on the subject, Air Vice Marshal who is retired, GP Sharma, President of Meteorology and Climate Change, SkyMet. I also need to welcome Jagadishwaran, who is a political analyst and very well known, and also for the political debate I shall be joined by S. Muralidharan, political analyst, and Bhanuchandar Nagarajan, who is a very well known political analyst, and I shall be going to all of them. But first I need some patience from all of you, as always. Gentlemen, even as I speak with GP Sharma, let me get my questions because these are technical, want to make no mistake. Mr. Sharma, a very warm welcome to you on the show today, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Sudha.
You know, I have contacted many people from IMD, they all refuse to come, and for obvious reasons, because it's become politicized now. Yesterday when Mr. Stalin spoke about it, I knew that this will now become a political slugfest, right? Now, let's get some facts right, and that's why I'm coming to you first, Mr. Sharma. Now, the IMD had issued a red warning on Saturday evening for rainfall above 21 centimeters, but Kayalpattinam, which is in Thoothukudi district, received 95 centimeter rainfall in a day. It was more than the annual rainfall that the entire district receives, which is an average of 70 cm. Tell me something, do you agree with this, that the predictions were not at all, I mean, they were not only delayed, they were not precise? Mr. Sharma.
Ms. Sudha, very unfortunate that we had such a cataclysmic event over down south. 4 districts, they were marooned even till date also. But then coming to your question that whether the forecasts were correct or not, or the prediction was made on time or not. You see, they, like you rightly said, that the IMD had given a red warning, but that was on Saturday only. Before that, obviously notice was not much. But then, let me tell you, the rainfall events of such magnitude, such scale, they cannot be caught by any of the numerical model. Whatever the best we have got nowadays, it cannot be, because in the spread of that model which it gives, There are some pockets in between, small scale pocket, which we call it as a mesoscale systems, which will give you such a downpour. It is not possible for those models to catch. I'm not here to bail out the IMD as such, that they are not at fault. But then every model, every person will have some limitation. All these models also, they also work with some limitations. The scale, a meter of rain in 24 hours, never heard of any of these places. And then some other couple of places having 500 millimeter, 600 millimeter in 24 hours. It is beyond the imagination, beyond comprehension of all these numerical models. You see, as far as the other things are concerned, obviously the deluge was so much, it was beyond the carrying capacity of our infrastructure, whatever we have. No amount of infrastructure can carry this type of rain, this type of a downpour, and that too
whenever we have discussed,
over 24 hours.
Yeah, Mr. Sharma, whenever we have discussed these kind of mishaps, we've always patted ourselves on the back where we were and where we have reached now. We've done a stupendous job, you know, with even MIGJOM, you know, even before MIGJOM, we did a splendid job so far as monitoring systems are concerned. Several experts are saying, you may not say it, but I'm saying it, MK Stalin is politicizing the entire rain deluge issue. When you shift blame, instead of saying this is the best we've done, let's all hold hands together. When you do this, it's clearly politicizing. It's almost like covering your tracks, because there is an all round criticism. I will come to the journalist for that. But Sri Sharma, you know, was there more moisture inside the system than anticipated? You know, that could be a possibility. I mean, these extreme events because of climate change, I mean, that's quite possible, isn't it?
Quite possible, quite possible. There are almost, sometimes you have some, you call it as atmospheric rivers also, abundance of moisture. As it is, those districts, that pocket which we are talking about has huge water bodies on the left, on the right, on the south. Indian Ocean is there, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, no dearth of moisture. Okay, that is the beyond actually comprehension, that this much of moisture, there is no dearth of moisture. Yes, the scale of event was such. Yes, the models also, they were not able to predict to the accurate of to the last centimeter as such. We forget about what happened in July 2005 for Mumbai? Similar thing. Okay, over 1000 millimeter of rainfall in about 24 hours, less than 24 hours, and then everything was submerged. Similar thing happened.
Another an expert I was reading, Sharma ji, he says this was a relatively shallow system. It was a combination of a strong easterly wave and a cyclonic circulation. So, it is quite possible that IMD or other agencies did not predict this magnitude of rains. For the benefit of the viewers, decode this. I mean, wherever I have read, except for the politicians who will shoot off their mouths, every expert, this is science. This is not some kind of winning an election, right? Even there you predict this party will win, it does not win. Do we hold the color of politicians? I am only speaking for the weather experts. You know, what do you have to say about this expert and someone who is a former Secretary Ministry of Earth Sciences?
These, you see, whether these cyclones or the other weather systems, any significant systems like this, they have a track record of defying the timelines, track intensity, and this is one of those things. Otherwise, yes, we are in the northeast monsoon season, active monsoon, northeast monsoon season, but then this system which has caused all this havoc, it was a little way to the south of our landmass, a main landmass. Okay, it was definitely moving across southern parts of Sri Lanka, Comorin region, and those are the parts which were expected to be impacted more than what we had. We had a much bigger share than what it was anticipated, but then it has happened. Okay, it was beyond the capacity of model forecasting. It has happened like that, but then it doesn't happen very often. Okay, I haven't seen such a heavy rainfall in the last few decades as such over that pocket as such. But then the numerical models on which the forecast is based, they were not able to catch this particular such heavy
All right,
rainfall.
I have to take a break, Mr. Sharma, and to all my other friends also, journalist friends, but I am coming back. So please do not go away. I'll ask a question of Mr. Sharma once we are back from the break, and then I go to all the political analysts and journalists. Do stay with us. You're watching the South Indian.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bangalore city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bangalore should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT. News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Welcome back. You're watching the South Indian, and we are discussing the politics which is being played over the floods in certain parts, that is southern Tamil Nadu. I am speaking with Air Vice Marshal retired G.P. Sharma, President of Meteorology and Climate Change, SkyMet, and later I go to very senior journalist to talk about the politics which is being played out. Mr. Sharma, before I let you go, I want to ask you something. Saturday, yes, if they give a red warning, which is Saturday evening, how do you think the state government copes with it the very next morning, sir? Do you think there is a mechanism in place? Because, you know, our state is a coastal state. I mean, you have to really see to it that, you know, enough and more warnings are given to people. There are low-lying areas. So, do you think it is enough time, really?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was too short a notice. Okay. On top of that, the terrain is such, it's not a heterogeneous terrain there. It is a heterogeneous rather, it is not homogeneous terrain. You have all sort of terrain, whether the little hills are there, ghats are there, plains are there, oceans are there, and the mixed type of terrain which increases the complexity of the phenomena as such. This is what it has done. But then, notwithstanding, the notice obviously was less than what it was, not an adequate notice. I will put it that way. Okay. But then let me tell you, no one does it intentionally. If the models are correct and reading it rightly, then they would have issued also. Okay. Yeah. It is not the first time. But then, yes, it is definitely this type of events, they require much bigger notice, adequate notice. But let me tell you, even if it was there, the scale of the event was such, possibly we may have been still in the same situation, marooned like this, what has happened. We remember a big jump which happened around 4th or 5th of December or so, in spite of the warnings. It was, the city was drowned, areas were submerged, waist deep water for days together. There was a warning that time.
Absolutely.
So once again, I say, I am not going to bail out IMD. I am not at all. But then, yes, notice was surely it was not adequate. Yes.
Yeah, but you say, but what I like about you is that you're being very fair, Air Marshal Sharma, because you're saying notice was not adequate, but this is the best that they could do, and nothing is done intentionally or deliberately. Whereas there is an insinuation that maybe things could have done better, because the way Manoj Tangaraj has gone on and on, you know, if we can play out his tweet, long tweets on Twitter saying this should have been done, western models are much better, that way western cities are much better than the cities in Tamil Nadu. Why don't they all go there? Meanwhile, Mr. G.P. Sharma, thank you very much, sir, for putting things in perspective. Thank you indeed. And now it's time for me to go to all the others, and that being, you know, senior journalist Jagdishwaran, Muralidharan and Banu Chandar. Jagdishwaran, don't you think that there is blatant politics being played on the flood situation? We all know that even, you know, Michaung, we just coming out of it, the government is distributing 6,000 rupees. The High Court is today saying do not give cash because that can lead to corruption. And, you know, happily you come to Delhi and you ask for, intermediate interim relief and then more relief. and then you say that IMD. Don't you think that this is really kind of trying to cover your tracks, Jagdishwaran?
See, the way I read both Stalin's speech as well as Manoj Thangaraj's speech, I felt like they were not accusing anybody. They're not accusing IMD. They're saying things could have been better. And that's how I read it. Because you didn't put out the entire tweet of Manoj Thangaraj. He was saying, despite these challenges, this is not a time for blame, but for collective ownership and action. He was saying repeatedly, let's do it better in the future. Let's ask our union government to do better. Let's ask our IMD to do better in the future. That's what he meant. I mean, that's how I read it. Because I don't think even Stalin was accusing, saying IMD, he wasn't accusing. Every time we want better models, because the time red alert was given was 2:12 p.m. and by that time we already had 20 centimeters of rainfall in Tirunelveli and Tiruchendur and Thoothukudi. And how does it help us? And at the same time, even though you are saying you can't read other models, go somewhere else, we have private bloggers. We have Tamil Nadu weatherman, Delta weatherman. There are so many weathermans, private bloggers who predict it much better than the IMD. What do you say for that?
Private weathermen, they are not recognized, Jagdishwaran.
They are not recognized. That's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah, that's exactly the problem. They are not recognized. We still have to go with the IMD.
Yeah, but let me tell you, there is past history. I have witnessed it. Mr. Muka Stalin in Delhi talking about Tadapoosi. I did an interview with him, that is vaccine. He spoke about GST issue. He spoke about the Sri Lanka issue. He spoke about Hindi imposition. And now, when Manoj Thangaraj, I respect what he says. This is not the time for blame. But you missed one word. This is the time for ownership. What ownership? Why should the center? I can also say what was the state doing. It is when a Tamilan is, suffering in Thoothukudi, a pregnant woman has to be taken up. You saw that visual? If we have that visual, please play it out. It's scary.
I saw the visual.
It's playing out right now. Look at that. I mean, I'm pregnant and I'm being, it is very, those children who are dead, who were sitting in schools and the wall collapsed. We are all responsible for that. To blame someone else. And I think it's a bit of politics which is being played, because there is all round criticism which is unfair, which is also unfair. Muralidharan, please come in here. This kind of politicizing, there has been also Mr. Edappadi Palaniswamy has also criticized and opposition parties will do it. But overall, do you think Mr. Stalin is now become adept at parking everything at the center's door?
I think you have said it, and I think even the other gentleman who joined us from the meteorology, I think Captain or whoever. And he also said that, we can't blame anybody, and whatever's happening, it's like definitely there is no control, because I think 1 year's rainfall happened in 24 hours. Nobody can do anything. But the problem here is, one is the ownership, as you said. Second is, admitting mistakes and trying to correct it, then trying to cover it up. So Stalin was similar to Mr. Edappadi. He was criticizing the Edappadi government in 2015.
Yes.
So what did he do different so that he is prepared for such events? Today they have complained about the IMD. I'll tell you, when Mr. P.T.R. Tyagarajan was there, he allocated 10 crores to improve the system in Tamil Nadu. Nobody knows where that 10 crores went. Okay, this is apart from the 4,000 crores which they used for stormwater drainage in Chennai, which also we know that failed miserably. But what is happening now in down south, Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi and all, it's like, it is sad it's happening. One. Second is DMK's inability to handle the situation coming out clearly, because the CM had announced a rescue team, coordination team with a couple of ministers. And he also had Mr. Anita Radhakrishnan in that.
Right.
To our surprise, Mr. Anita Radhakrishnan was stuck in the water for past 3 days and he was rescued today. See, the CM didn't even know that he is missing. This is the kind of preparedness DMK is having. So obviously they are also getting, flock from all sides for all the shortcomings. So they don't know how to counter it. So they're blaming the IMD now. So this is again politics, as you said.
No, it clearly politics. You said it, Muralidharan. You said it very clearly that you can't, this is the best Mr. Stalin can do. Jagdishwaran, I'll come to you in a bit. Let me get Bhanuchandar Nagarajan. Bhanuchandar, in the midst of all this, Governor R.N. Ravi jumps in. Of course, he has a right. As a constitutional figure, he can of course take stock of what is happening, human lives are lost, etc. But then look at the politicization of it. no one from the government comes. Also, I find it very surprising that a bureaucrat like Mr. Meena is also making a statement that the IMD did not give us timely kind of information. I mean, what is going on in Tamil Nadu? Like, are you going to play politics constantly? Don't they know that seats, their chair is not permanent? It is a laugh, I say.
Yeah, I see these gut-wrenching pictures on your screen, Sudha, and my heart goes out. As somebody from Madurai, I know that the people there are tougher than the times, and I hope they really recover fast, and at least now the government sort of coordinates better and gets its people down and provides the relief. But the question is, like, why do we even elect these people? Why do we even elect the government? The reason is we elect leaders so that they stay with people, they stay with us during the toughest of times. That is the fundamental. They're not technical experts. There are bureaucrats and experts to help them. But just be there for the people is a very simple, basic thing. That's a fundamental of a leader. And that is where Stalin has failed, the DMK government has failed. And that is when somebody points it out, they are saying that they are politicizing the issue. Stalin was there in Delhi, right? Today, where was he? He was not in Tirunelveli or Thoothukudi or Tanjavur or Tiruchendur or Madurai or Ramnath. He was in Chennai. But you look at Annamalai, you look at Edappadi, both are there in the people. That is leadership. That is what they want. And instead of that, they and the bureaucrats, hold on. So they are now playing IMD. They've just thought of blaming God Varuna, saying that he's a Hindu god and that's why he has punished Tamil Nadu. It is such a disastrous dealing, and the worst is it's exacerbated by what is happening in the social media, with the social media, with the IT wing and with the supporters saying as if there's nothing wrong, and that is where it's what
all
is
right.
people.
I'll have to. I mean, you made such an interesting point. Are you serious, Varuna and everything? I have to take a break, Bhanu. Just wait, Muralidharan sir, please wait, and also Jagdishwaran, I am coming back in a jiffy, guys. We are discussing the Lord Varuna, actually floods in Tamil Nadu. Stay with us.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
It was my 14th birthday.
On birthday, daughter waits
for missing father.
He was carrying a cake for his daughter.
49-year-old Birmingham-based
Indian diplomat vanishes.
He was grabbed and bundled into a car by 4 assailants.
KLA claims responsibility. Demands Kashmiri separatists.
Makbul Bhatt's release.
Goli maro, or feck do.
And within 3 days, they shot him dead.
Abducted diplomat.
Found murdered in Leicestershire.
I said, who ordered to kill him? To me, he said, yes, I ordered it.
And he never came home.
Stop searching, start streaming. Download the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Jyotiraditya Scindia is also facing a litmus test.
There have been corruption charges against all the chief ministers or towering leaders who were rich, but this is not the case with Scindia. So the point is that in modern times, when the society is looking up to good leaders, so Jyotiraditya Scindia could be one of them.
As far as Jyotiraditya Scindia is concerned, even if the BJP loses, Jyotiraditya Scindia will be around for at least another 2 decades. He is young and he has the ability to come back.
This and more streaming now on the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Vanakkam, you are with the South Indian and we are discussing the politics which is being played over floods in Tamil Nadu. Yesterday we saw how Chief Minister Stalin blamed the IMD and said that the delays were caused because of, he did not really say that you did not predict, he said perhaps you could have predicted more accurately. Bhanuchandar, before I went into a break, you were saying, please complete what you were saying. You were talking about Lord Varuna and I am shocked.
See, the thing is, ideally, politics should not be played during the time of disaster, right? But the thing is, when there is absolute misgovernance, it's only okay for people and the opposition parties to blame the functioning of the government, right? So, I really think.
But why was Governor Ravi? Why did Governor Ravi? He seems to be in the habit of jumping into everything. I mean, don't you think that that is unnecessary? You know, why create a, when the state is reeling under so much of a trauma like you accepted, Banu, why have you have this meeting, finish it, calling this person, calling that person? You already know there is a slugfest. I think it is unnecessary politics.
So the thing is, see, Stalin was not in town. So I think probably he wanted to get an update of what is happening and what is going on. And he only said that he sent a representative from the government. I don't think he called the chief secretary. But anyway, so that is a bit of quibbling, right? It's just a matter of like getting an update. I don't think that's a big issue. But the big issue is the absentee government, and I really feel that Stalin should step up, go there, coordinate, and be with the people, talk to opposition parties, and basically focus on governance. And I think that is what is the need of the day. And if history has any lessons, just a small point, Sudha, if history has any lessons, if there is a government that the people distrust, they will not hesitate to throw it away. But at the same time, if a government stands by the people, they will reward it. Case in point is in 1970, there was the cyclone Bola, which was helpful in Sheikh Mujibur Rahman throw away the Pakistani government in East Pakistan. In 2015, we had the floods in Tamil Nadu. Jayalalitha handled it well and she was re-elected in 2016. So we have examples of the both. I really hope somebody tells it to Mr. Stalin.
Jagdishwaran is raising his eyebrows. Jagdishwaran, you were raising your hand when Muralidharan was speaking. No. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was still shocked when somebody says Jayalalitha handled the flood so well. It was a man-made disaster. She opened Chambarapakam and killed people. What are we talking? She handled it well. There were no ministers for almost 10 days. Nobody came to this part for 10 days. It was all the rescue was done by the volunteers. All relief was done by the volunteers. It was all the work of volunteers which brought Chennai back. Please don't say Jayalalitha handled it well. Okay, I will come to the point. I mean, couple of things. One, you are showing the pregnant lady. The good news is that pregnant lady, she delivered a baby in Rajaji Government Hospital, Madurai. That is one thing. Other thing, Muralidharan was saying, Anita minister was caught up in the floods for 3 days. No, he was in the field till yesterday. He was right there in the field from the first day because he was the local minister. And he went to rescue people today, and that was he was caught in the floods today. And don't, I mean, he was there in the field. Only today he went inside to rescue the people. Just wanted to clarify on those two things.
Great, Jagdishwaran, but what is the need of going to Delhi? And you are asking, you went for an India bloc meeting, which is in a state of flux and mess.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, this should not be a priority for Stalin. He should not have gone now. He should have sent some representative to the India bloc meeting. He should have told the other leaders that Tamil Nadu is reeling under huge pressure and I need to be there. It was fault of Stalin. I completely agree with that. Stalin should have been here.
Great. Muralidharan, I want to come to you. Muralidharan, the situation really has changed very much from 2015 to now. Every time there is a cyclone, every time there is a flood, the volunteers come out, and a big salute to them, much like what Jagdishwaran said. These young men and women, I see they are working relentlessly. Of course, NDRF, SDRF, Army, Navy, Air Force, everyone does their job well. But the point is, governments after governments fail, and then when everything fails, you say, oh, you did not even tell us that it is going to be so severe. So, there is some systemic changes which requires, rather than doing this very, I think, low politics over the lives of people, Muralidharan.
Yeah, as I said, but I want to just differ with the gentleman who spoke before me. See, about the Jayalalitha incident, yes, it was a mistake by Jayalalitha government opening the floodgates middle of the night without announcing. But the moment when she woke up and she figured out things are bad, she got into action and she called for help from all the NGOs. That did not happen this time. People were hesitating to come because people were actually fed up with the DMK government for whatever the delivery they've been doing for the last 2 years. People are really unhappy with DMK. That's a fact. Second is putting things in order. Like, for example, the Delhi meet. See, you were going for a anti-BJP meet in Delhi, and along with it, you say you're going to club to seek relief or seek assistance from the center. How will that play out? What mood or what kind of reception will you get from Mr. Modi? See, this is where Mr. Stalin is still a political novice for the simple reason. His father would have handled this in a different this thing altogether. If Karnataka would have been in power, he would have ensured he would have got all that help from center, because he never antagonized the center in any of his tenure. Though he would have had some little reservations here and there, but overall, he's always, hand in glove with the center, in terms of getting the number of ministers for his side, etc. So I think, from the 2015 to 2023, we are not learning.
All right.
The problem is that we are not learning and we are not improving. We should be much more prepared than this, that's what people are upset about. After this big jam, also we are not prepared. So this is
we are never prepared is what I see. DMK. Of course, there are lots of issues. Bhanuchandar Nagarajan, do you think, what Muralidharan said and said very well, I've completely run out of time. So quickly, tell me something that, do you think that the governor, whether it's in Kerala, whether it was in erstwhile Telangana under KCR Garu, and whether it's now, don't you think that he's a constitutional figure, Governor R.N. Ravi, but certain things let the Chief Minister handle? I mean, I think you should be hands off sometimes.
No, absolutely. I think ideally the Chief Minister should be in charge and be running the show, but we have an absentee Chief Minister. But it's a minor point, Sudha. It's a minor quibble. But I think hopefully, we all learned the last 2 days, and we really hope that something good happens to the people of Southern Tamil Nadu. Also, one important point is, I think especially for DMK cadres and DMK people on social media, please don't spread lies. Be sympathetic when people say something like let's hear, because social media has now become a most important point of communication even for common people. The lack of empathy and the arrogance is really upsetting. I think that is what people are really getting angry about.
Absolutely, and I think that this kind of politicizing a natural disaster is something which may prove to be disastrous for the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam government. We need to see closely how it pans out, but I don't agree with Bhanuchandar, because wait and watch how the entire Governor R.N. Ravi thing is going to snowball into something else. I've completely run out of time. My thanks are due to Muralidharan, to Jagdishwaran, thank you so much, and of course Bhanuchandar Nagarajan, thank you indeed. And this is now time for the second story, and the second story is something which actually should be mandatory for all journalists. At News9 Live, we see to it that we do news which actually is of interest to both you and I. News which can help you improve in several ways, caution you, forewarn you, call it what you may. Speaking about COVID and the latest updates from across the country on the subvariant JN.1. With increased testing in the light of a spurt in COVID-19 cases in Karnataka, the state has seen a doubling of the number of cases reported over the last 48 hours. On Monday, it was 28. It's become 79 on Wednesday. Also, one COVID-related death has been reported in Karnataka in the last 2 days. But the centre and also the states are doing everything possible to contain the spread. That's what this country is all about. The biggest challenge, however, is of course the festive season, which shall see a lot of traffic, with people travelling from one state to another to meet friends and relatives. In response to a surge in COVID-19 cases and the detection of the new JN.1 variant in several parts of India, Union Health Minister Mansukhh conducted a high-level review meeting with state counterparts. This comes amid the World Health Organization statement on Tuesday that classified the JN.1 strain as a variant of interest, although it said that current evidence shows risk to public health was actually low. Good news. At the meet, Mansukh Mandavia told his counterparts that it's time to work together in a whole of government approach, expressing that while we need to be alert, there is no need to panic. That's what I also think. That's what it should be, no panic. He also spoke about the importance of being prepared by conducting drills, increasing surveillance and maintaining effective communication. The minister also assured the centre's support to the states. Meanwhile, the health ministry issued an advisory to all the states as well as UTs, emphasizing the need for heightened vigilance. Even as the festive season approaches, states were urged to implement public health measures, emphasizing respiratory hygiene. The advisory also stressed effective compliance with the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare operational guidelines for revised COVID-19 surveillance strategy. On Wednesday, India had over 2,300 cases. Kerala reported 2,041 total cases, while Tamil Nadu has 77, Maharashtra saw the case rise to 35, and of course, Karnataka, the cases have increased. Telangana has reported 9 and Puducherry reported 20, while the national capital has 4 and Gujarat has 12. Punjab is at 5, Goa reported 23. Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand have 2 active COVID cases each. The states with the lowest COVID cases are Jammu and Kashmir and Uttar Pradesh with 1 case each. Now, the cases could have increased even as we speak, but this is the status as of now. Kerala's Health Minister Veena George had earlier called for a high-level meeting to address the COVID-19 surge, with over 85% of cases in the country originating in the state. A recent mock drill assessed hospital preparedness, revealing available oxygen and ICU beds. The focus in Kerala will be now on areas like Kochi and Thiruvananthapuram experiencing a rise in cases. The meeting emphasized increased testing for individuals with symptoms, and despite 10 COVID-related deaths this month, the minister assured ample medicine and equipment stock. So, Kerala, you take care, because you set an example across the world as to how to manage COVID. Let's not forget that. And before I go, up next, News9 special documentary on Maratha quota demand. And with that, the South Indian says goodbye. Stay well, take care of yourselves, and mask up if you're traveling.